In the heart of 18th century Europe, when France dominated the continent and Austria ruled the Holy Roman Empire, a young prince in a small German kingdom would transform his modest realm into one of Europe's greatest military powers. Frederick II of Prussia, known to history as Frederick the Great, inherited a disciplined army and a treasury built by his father. What he did with these tools would reshape the balance of European power forever, establishing Prussia as a force that even the mightiest empires would learn to fear and respect. Born in 1712 in Berlin, Frederick Charles grew up under the iron discipline of his father, King Frederick William I, known as the Soldier King. The Prussian court was a Spartan environment where military precision governed daily life. Young Frederick's childhood was marked by relentless drilling in languages, mathematics, and military tactics, yet he harbored a secret passion for French philosophy, music, and literature. His relationship with his domineering father was turbulent, reaching its breaking point when Frederick attempted to flee Prussia at age 18, leading to his arrest and the execution of his closest companion, Hans Hermann von Katte, before his very eyes. The brutal lesson of Katte's execution forged Frederick's character, teaching him that power demanded sacrifice, and that sentiment was a luxury kings could not afford. Reconciled with his father, Frederick began his apprenticeship in statecraft and military command. He studied the great military theorists, absorbed the lessons of Marlborough's campaigns, and observed the weaknesses of Prussia's neighbors. When Frederick William I died in 1740, leaving his 28-year-old son a well-trained army of 80,000 men and a full treasury, Europe's established powers dismissed the young king as another minor German prince who posed no serious threat to their dominance. Frederick's personal relationships were complex and carefully calculated. His marriage to Elizabeth Christine of Brunswick-Bevern was arranged for political reasons and remained distant, producing no heirs. Instead, Frederick surrounded himself with a select circle of intellectuals, military officers, and philosophers. He corresponded with Voltaire, who spent time at his court at Sanssouci Palace, though their relationship eventually soured over political disagreements. Frederick's closest relationships were with his military commanders and his beloved Italian greyhounds. He remained devoted to his duties as king above all personal attachments, viewing marriage and friendship through the lens of state necessity rather than emotional fulfillment. Frederick's first test came within months of his coronation, when Holy Roman Empress Maria Theresa inherited the Austrian throne. Seizing upon the succession crisis, Frederick launched his army into Silesia in December 1740, beginning the First Silesian War. His lightning campaign caught Europe by surprise, demonstrating Prussia's military efficiency and Frederick's tactical brilliance. At the Battle of Mollwitz in 1741, despite an initial cavalry defeat that forced Frederick himself to flee the field, Prussian infantry discipline and firepower secured victory. The conquest of Silesia doubled Prussia's population and industrial capacity, establishing Frederick as a major European player and triggering decades of conflict with Austria. The War of Austrian Succession expanded Frederick's reputation as he defended his Silesian conquests against Austrian attempts at reconquest. At Hohenfriedberg in 1745, Frederick's innovative use of oblique order tactics, attacking the enemy's flank while refusing his own weaker wing, became a masterpiece of 18th century warfare. His rapid marches, disciplined infantry volleys, and aggressive use of artillery created a distinctly Prussian way of war that emphasized speed, precision, and concentrated force at decisive points. These victories established Prussia as the premier military power in northern Germany and forced Austria to recognize Prussian control of Silesia. Frederick's greatest trial came during the Seven Years' War, beginning in 1756, when he launched a preemptive strike against Saxony to break apart the hostile coalition forming around Prussia. What Frederick intended as a short campaign became a desperate struggle for survival against Austria, Russia, and France simultaneously. The early years brought stunning victories at Rossbach and Leuthen in 1757, where Frederick's tactical genius allowed his outnumbered forces to achieve decisive victories. At Leuthen, his oblique attack against the Austrian left flank, conducted in perfect coordination across his entire army, is considered one of the finest tactical performances in military history. The war's middle years tested Frederick's resolve as never before. The devastating defeat at Kunersdorf in 1759, where Russian and Austrian forces nearly destroyed his army, left Frederick contemplating suicide and the collapse of his kingdom. Berlin was occupied by enemy forces, Prussian finances were exhausted, and Frederick's army was reduced to barely 30,000 effective soldiers. Yet Frederick's iron determination, his ability to inspire his remaining troops, and his skill at interior lines warfare kept Prussia in the fight. He fought a desperate defensive campaign, using rapid marches to prevent his enemies from combining their superior numbers against him. The miracle of the House of Brandenburg came in 1762, with the sudden death of Empress Elizabeth of Russia. Her successor, Peter III, admired Frederick and immediately withdrew Russia from the anti-Prussian coalition, returning all conquered territories. This dramatic reversal, combined with Britain's financial support and the exhaustion of Austria and France, allowed Frederick to secure a favorable peace settlement. The Treaty of Hubertusburg in 1763 confirmed Prussian control of Silesia and recognized Frederick as one of Europe's great powers. Prussia emerged from 7 years of devastating warfare, with its territorial gains intact and its military reputation enhanced beyond measure. Frederick's later years focused on consolidating Prussian power and modernizing his kingdom. The first partition of Poland in 1772 added West Prussia to his realm, connecting Brandenburg with East Prussia and completing his territorial ambitions. Frederick promoted religious tolerance, reformed the judicial system, and encouraged agricultural and industrial development. He rebuilt his army to 90,000 men, established military academies, and codified the tactical innovations that had brought Prussia victory. His court at Sanssouci became a center of Enlightenment thought. Yet Frederick never forgot that Prussian greatness rested upon military strength and the willingness to use it decisively when threatened. On August 17, 1786, Frederick died at Sanssouci Palace after ruling Prussia for 46 years. His final years had been marked by increasing isolation and poor health, yet his mental faculties remained sharp until the end. He was buried at Sanssouci according to his wishes, accompanied only by his beloved dogs, rather than receiving a royal funeral. Frederick had transformed Prussia from a minor German state into a European great power, proving that superior organization, training, and leadership could overcome numerical disadvantage. His military reforms and tactical innovations influenced warfare for generations, while his administrative efficiency became the model for modern bureaucratic states. Frederick the Great's legacy extends far beyond his military conquests to encompass the very nature of modern state power. His transformation of Prussia demonstrated that disciplined institutions, merit-based advancement, and efficient administration could create strength out of apparent weakness. The Prussian military system he perfected became the foundation for German unification under Prussian leadership in the following century. His integration of Enlightenment ideas with practical statecraft showed that intellectual sophistication and military power were not mutually exclusive. Frederick proved that a small nation, through superior organization and unwavering determination, could challenge and defeat much larger powers, a lesson that resonates throughout modern military and political history. The Prussia that Frederick created became the nucleus of modern Germany, its administrative efficiency and military excellence serving as the foundation for German power in subsequent centuries. His officer corps produced the leaders who would defeat Napoleon at Leipzig and Waterloo, while his emphasis on education and merit created a professional class that drove German industrial development. Frederick's example inspired other small nations to believe that strategic thinking and institutional excellence could overcome geographical and demographic disadvantages. His reign marked the beginning of the modern European state system, where military effectiveness and administrative competence mattered more than traditional dynastic claims or territorial size. Frederick's influence on military thought proved equally enduring, as his tactical innovations and strategic principles were studied in military academies across Europe and beyond. His use of interior lines, concentration of force at decisive points, and emphasis on speed and surprise became fundamental concepts in military education. The Prussian general staff system he established served as the model for professional military planning organizations worldwide. Napoleon himself acknowledged Frederick as his superior in the art of war, while military theorists, from Clausewitz to modern strategists, have drawn upon Frederick's campaigns to illustrate principles of successful warfare. His transformation of Prussia from a peripheral German state into a European great power remains one of history's most remarkable examples of how individual leadership and institutional innovation can reshape the balance of international power.